Touhou Genso Wanderer on the PS4. This is a research stream. A game that was generously provided by the Carroll County Public Library System of Maryland. Okay, this is a research stream about this game. We're going to fold in a little side conversation here. There's been a lot of blah 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 over the last month or so, last month of 2018, about Red Dead Redemption 2, game design decisions, and the subjectivity of opinions when reviewing video games. Let's play a little game. This is a game called Touhou Genso Wanderer on the PS4. This is a mystery dungeon game, like Fatal Labyrinth on the Sega Genesis Mega Drive, Shiren the Wanderer, Pokemon's Mystery Dungeon, Guided Fate Paradox is a game that actually did a video on this channel on. This game is from the same publisher, Nippon Ichi America. Guided Fate Paradox was a game kind of like that. These games, Nightmare Drug, I believe, was the PS2 game that started this whole, that started my whole thought process about this genre. I had not played these roguelike, how would you describe this? It's a roguelike RPG, that's fine. But I call this a mystery dungeon game because it's based in generally on these Fushigi no Dungeon games that have been somewhat popular, I want to say, extremely popular in Japan, I want to say, back in the late 90s, early 2000s. I forget what PS1 game it was that had this similar style. I think it was, I forget the name. I think it began with a T, or I don't remember the name. But Shiren, but there was a Super Famicom game called Shiren Mystery Dungeon, I believe. And it was never released in the United States. But I want to say it was remastered on the Wii as Shiren the Wanderer. And I've played a bunch of games like this since Nightmare Draga came out on the PS2. I believe Izuna 2 was a game like that as well. And I haven't done that many videos about them. I should, because this is a genre I actually have a great deal of affinity for, while acknowledging that nearly every American game critic I've ever read hates these games. I mean like mainstream, like IGN, GameSpot-like reviewers, I want to say. They tend to hate games like this. Pokemon Mystery Dungeon comes out, they hate it. Shiren the Wanderer comes out, they hate it. I remember on Giant Bomb, Brad Shoemaker reviewed Shiren the Wanderer alongside his colleague Jeff Gerstmann, who seemed to be a lot more interested in the game. Jeff Gerstmann is actually, I want to say Jeff Gerstmann has actually done videos on Fatal Labyrinth, the Genesis game. Games like that have gotten a very harsh reaction in the United States because most of the critics who play them find them to be almost inscrutable. Most of the rules of turn-based RPGs aren't followed here because it's not really it's not mainly a menu-driven system. It's not a sim either because it's not a game like XCOM or a game like Disgaea or Final Fantasy Tactics, where you're basically just looking at a grid and just manipulating a menu. It is a game in which every step, it's like Super Hot in the sense that enemies do not move until you move. But the game has a lot of control decisions that seem incredibly finicky. And not only are they finicky, they seem unnecessarily convoluted. And as I play this game, you're going to see what I'm talking about. Again, if you play Fatal Labyrinth, if you've played Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, you know what to expect. In fact, I would highly encourage you to watch my video on Fatal Labyrinth if you're curious about how a more traditional game like this plays. Because that's how long I've been playing games like this, since the late 90s. But Fatal Labyrinth was a game that came out in the early 90s. I never played it until recently. We'll get to that later. Like I said, it's a mystery dungeon game. The game does come with a tutorial. Don't worry about it. This game's just going to throw you into the lion's den. Why am I swinging my sword? The game will explain that when we get to the tutorial. Where are these arrows coming from? I'll explain that as soon as we get to the tutorial. Here we go. Let's see. I'm gonna do some stuff you're not gonna understand, so give me a second. Whoop, wrong button. There we go. Okay, so I accomplished that. Let's see. Someone hit me. Just a second, someone hit me. There we go, my backlog. So I use the double barrier, so we're fine. Okay, let's get back into position. I'm using the D-pad to play this game, by the way. I'm not swinging a sword, I'm swinging a... Yeah. By the way, I'm supposed to lose this fight, so don't worry. I mean, I could just waste a bunch of magic trying to do all this. Yeah, I can't do any more of that. I don't have enough P items. Let's see, well, let's pretend I'm surrounded. Well, like I said, I'm supposed to lose anyway. Let's just lose as fast as possible. Now, everything I just did is going to be explained once I do the tutorial. Because as you're playing this game, you're like, wait, what's going on? Is this like a top-down? Is this like a top-down action game like Crystallis and Zelda 1 and 3? No. It's a mystery dungeon game. And like I said, it'll make a lot more sense once we get to this tutorial dungeon right here. And this is the kind of game that I'm going to ask... I'm not going to call this a provocative question. It's not pointlessly provocative. It's just call it a thought. Call it... Consider this question. What if Red Dead Redemption 2 were presented like this? Not with anime characters. I mean, what if the game design was not based on a third-person character action, open-world game? What if the game's mechanics were based entirely around this principle? By the way, ZHP, Zettai Hero Project, was a PSP game with a similar gameplay in the genre. Which was apparently very well received by people like Tom Chick over at Quarter to Three for being a very ambitious meta conversation about heroism. Which is, it's not just in video games, but just in general. And it used Sentai principles. It used sort of Sentai tropes to explain this story about the nature of heroism. Another Nippon Ichi joint. It's like I said, it's a PSP game. That's a game that should be remastered. I would highly recommend that game get a re-release. I hope it comes out on PC. It's a very, very interesting game that unfortunately is going to be disliked by most people who watch it, who play it, excuse me, because of the genre it's in. That's this game's genre. A mystery dungeon game. This tutorial will explain the rules of this, which will be very familiar to anyone who's played the other games I mentioned earlier. Especially Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. First things first. We're in the world of Genso Wanderer. Why is it called Wanderer? Well, because like I said, I want to say it's a callback to Shiren the Wanderer. Which again was, is it Chunsoft, I think was the company who made a bunch of those mystery dungeon games over in Japan? This is another one of those. I believe Final Fantasy Mystic Chronicles was one of those games too. So yeah, turn-based, RPG, menu-based options, enemies do not move until you move, grid-based system. Every step you take removes stamina and or health from your meter. So, stuff like that. Traditional mystery dungeon crawler. Turn-based. Okay, let's teach you the basic controls. I highly encourage anyone who's not familiar with any of the games I mentioned to just follow along, because I'm not gonna be too gentle about this, but I am going to give you time to kind of understand why the game's making some of these decisions. Alright, let's start by moving Reimu. The maiden shrine, the shrine maiden. You know, Rei from Sailor Moon, I suppose. Move around. Got an item. Hold triangle to open the cross menu. Press up to select your items. Also press different directional buttons while holding triangle to view other various menus. Triangle. Hold the button down, sorry. Again, we're using the D-pad to play this game. Because precision is important, and the precision of a D-pad is going to make this game a lot easier. Again, you'll understand why once I go through this tutorial. Green tea, I don't need tea right now. That's all I have. Triangle. Left. That's Reimu, the Shrine Maiden I was mentioning earlier. Don't worry about our stats now. We'll come back to this screen multiple times as I gain more items and go up in experience. Go down here. Green tea heals 20 HP, and big red bean cake fills the tummy meter by 100. By the way, I'm going to make some obvious mistakes as I go along. Don't worry, the game will explain through the tutorial what's going on. Okay, what's the tummy meter about? Your HP will slowly recover as the turns pass. But if your tummy is 0, instead of recovering HP, you will start to lose it. By the way, the tummy meter is like the stamina meter in most mystery dungeon games. Reimu will faint when she loses all of her HP, so be careful. You can't take items you find in this dungeon back with you. Use them a lot, so you'll remember how to use them. Inventory. Big red bean cake. Your stomach swell a bit. If eaten when full, your tummy capacity will slightly increase. You know what that means. Let's increase our tummy. It's at 100. Check the top of the screen. The green bar is my health meter, 30 over 30. The red meter below it is my tummy meter. That's my 100 over 100. Again, it's a stamina meter. We're going to eat some food. Let's swell my tummy. Let's see how much this goes up once I eat it. My max tummy increased by 4. Let's see, which one is my menu? Okay, yeah, I pressed the options button. So there's my log. So that gives you some idea about what's happened so far. In fact, where can I go up? Yes, I can use the D-pad to go up, so I can see everything that's happened so far. The Vengeful Spirit is the stuff that's already happened, so don't worry about that too much. What matters is the stuff on the bottom. The found green tea, the found big red bean cake, and I ate it. So my stamina is increased by 4, so that's going to be useful later. Got money. Like Junior Mafia. In this case, I need money to shop. We'll get to shopping later. I played this game for about 20 minutes earlier, and there hasn't been a shop yet. This is going to be interesting. The game's going to explain a few things that weren't available in previous Mystery Dungeon games, like Fatal Labyrinth or Pokemon. The ability to speed up time is great. When you dash with the circle button, you'll instantly go to the end or a crossroad, so be careful. Circle. Circle right. There we go. So we made it through that narrow passage. Let's move up. Let's press along. Oh yeah, we can go diagonally. Just a second. You can get past these waterways and move diagonally. Again, this game only uses the D-pad. Makes perfect sense to me for a game like this. Requires you to press 2 directional buttons at the same time, so be careful not to make any mistakes. This is the first thing that people are going to complain about. Stuff like this, where the simple act of moving diagonally seems fraught because, again, your tummy meter is tied to movement. Enemy actions are tied to movement. It requires precise movement like this occasionally. And if you make the wrong move, an enemy might attack you. Like I said, it's a design decision. The game will explain why some of these decisions are made, and I'll explain some of those decisions as we go along. Simple stuff. This is what freaks people out about games like this. Stuff like this, which is actually required to survive. From here, we'll explain I-dash, which is more efficient than the regular dash. You'll see why that's important in just a second. I-dash is a type of dash that automatically leads you to items or entrances to different rooms. You can I-dash by holding R1 and pressing a directional button. R1, right. So you can see based on the map that's on the screen, we went through a very narrow passageway. Easily navigate through complicated rooms and long passageways. That wasn't a complicated room, but it was definitely a long passageway. Using different combinations of buttons, you can control Reimu smoothly. Use it according to the situation. Hold the X button down to dash at high speeds with the directional pad. Hold square to turn in place. So if you want to turn around without actually expending any tummy points, you have to hold down the square button to turn in place. You saw me do that earlier in the video. That is why I was doing it. Hold R1 to dash in the most suitable route with the D-pad. Hold R2 to restrict movement to diagonal direction, which is something I probably could have done earlier. So if you really have to be really precise, because there are going to be things like traps in these. There are going to be traps on the floor that you want to avoid. You're going to need to go to this. So keep this in mind. Hopefully we can probably take a screenshot of this. So we can come back to this later. You're not going to be able to see that screenshot icon. I just did it accordingly. Okay, my tummy's going down. As you're probably noticing. Remember how my tummy was at 104 earlier? Now it's only at 94, because moving around consumes stamina, which in this game is your tummy meter. Let's keep moving. R1. And it took me right to the magic seal. So I held down R1 and I pressed right on the D-pad to go immediately to the end of the dungeon. If you go on top of the magic seal and select next floor, you progress to the next floor. But cancel if there are still things you want to do. Well, there aren't in this case. I don't know what suspend means, so I'll worry about that later. Going to the next floor. On this floor, we will explain how to battle. Enemies inside the dungeon will attack Rainbow when they spot her. And I guess, right. I guess this is Lolly here, spotted Rainbow. Which is not a Lolly, I'm just saying. X makes Rainbow attack the enemy in front of her. Shoot the enemy and go for... I know people are freaking out. This isn't a Pokemon Mystery Dungeon game, it's a anime Mystery Dungeon game, just saying. Nope, okay, Pokemon's an anime too. The reason there's so many of these games seem to be Japanese because the series is this genre of game is so popular in Japan that most of the games you're going to play here in America are anime. Just saying. Press square. I'm going to hold square so I can move in place. Again, I'm not moving. I'm just rotating in place. Now that I'm facing the right direction, I'm going to release the square button and watch this. I'm going to press left. So now we're going to face each other. Press the X button. Again, this is all turn-based. It's not really menu-based because everything is sort of based on, like I said, pressing buttons instead of navigating a menu to do things like that. So in a way, games like this kind of combine the strategic elements of a turn-based game, but it also makes it slightly more fraught because you have to do things like move in real time. It's not like Final Fantasy Tactics where it's like, okay, I want to move to this square and stop. No, you have to move your character with intent by using the D-pad, not by going to a menu and choosing the path your character will choose. That's not how this game works. Okay, by gaining experience by defeating enemies, Rainbow will level up and become stronger. Also, enemies that you defeat will sometimes drop items. Not this time, though. I'll use the I dash a bit more later, but for now, we'll just do this. When the enemies spot Rainbow, they will come up to her and attack. You can waste turns on purpose to lure enemies closer. This is another one of those design principles that people are sort of frustrated about. I'm just sitting here doing nothing so that I can lure an enemy closer to me. Why? Again, the game's going to explain that in a second. But you're luring enemies closer by just swinging away at the air, which is fine because you're wasting a turn on purpose, so an enemy will come closer. Again, most of this game is based on a stamina meter, so just swinging your sword, expend your stamina meter. Let's find out. Wait, do I actually have a sword, by the way? No, I don't. We'll get one later. So I'm not wasting any tummy power, so that's good. And the game will also show us a few situations later where it's useful to lure enemies to you rather than you walking up to meet them. Because remember, this game just kind of has a little bit of a stealth system, right? If enemies spot you, they'll attack you. But if they don't see you, then maybe you can lure one enemy over at a time. Let's see if that makes a difference. Let's increase the damage of my normal attacks by equipping this weapon. Yeah, just possessing it means nothing. I believe Shiren the Wanderer was the game of the Super Famicom game where people made a big deal about game balance because apparently every single item in that game served a useful purpose. It didn't seem obvious at the time, and in fact the obtuseness of a lot of the game's items was a lot of that game's challenge. What is this for? I don't know. Do I keep it? Do I throw it? Do I use it and just hope it does something useful? Fatal Labyrinth did a lot of that crap. Shiren the Wanderer apparently was a little bit better about that. We'll talk about that later. Which is a phrase I'm going to be saying a lot because I'm going to be bringing up a whole lot of things that I won't be able to explain in full. Options. I press the options button. Let's see. Well, it tells me what happens. To move in floors, be afflicted with superhuman for a period of time. That's quite an affliction you got there. Let's see. Additional damage up. Well, that makes sense. Damage plus 5. So we'll press cross and equip. I got a Patrol Tengu sword. So now my attacks are stronger. Okay, I'm going to hold R1 and right. That'll take me here. Watch what happens. When there are multiple enemies in a room, it's disadvantageous to fight inside it. Again, these are the mistakes I'm intentionally making because it's a tutorial. When you fight in a room, enemies will quickly surround and overwhelm you with simultaneous attacks. So rather than facing multiple enemies inside the room, it's better to fight one enemy at a time by luring them into a passageway. You know, funneling, like in Diablo. You want enemies to be pulled into a narrow passageway because it's the safest way to survive any situation where multiple people could attack you. So instead of trying to face both of these enemies and have them surround me, let's go backwards. In fact, I'll do this the simple way. Hold square, press right to turn around. Okay, so I'll just lure these enemies in one at a time. I'm not going to use any magic spells yet. I'm just going to use my regular attack. So I swung my sword to lure that enemy closer to me. So I don't have to move closer to her. I just swing my sword and she comes to me. So we'll defeat the maiden. Is that what that was? Congratulations on leveling up. My HP and power increased. Just a second. Cross. Left. My power is still 8 out of 8. What else did I need? Attack, +3. So, let's try that. Triangle, inventory. Yes, my attack is now 3. My damage went up by 5, though, as I recall. Yeah, additional damage. My attack is only 3, that's fine. I can unequip it. Okay. So that was something I shouldn't have done. Because the enemies got closer to me. Okay, so let's see what happens if I wear the sword again. Again, I understand why people are concerned about this. Now, my attack is now 3, huh? Let me check out my status. Left. So my attack is now 0. Okay. So let's back out of that. Triangle, hold triangle, press up. Let's equip the Tengu sword to increase my attack to 3. Okay. So equipping an item wasted a turn. Now I know. Get at me, dog. Okay, so we're done. Equipment gains experience and levels up as well. If this level increases, equipment will improve and make your adventure easier. Remember, you have to equip it for it to gain experience. Is there a durability system? I don't know, but we'll see how it goes. I think Azuna did have a durability system, so you had to throw weapons eventually, like in Breath of the Wild. Yeah, Breath of the Wild was another one of those games that brought up that conversation about why did they make this decision? Why did they throw this mechanic into the game? I've got several Breath of the Wild videos already, but I'll talk more about that later because I'll review what I mentioned in that video later because I mentioned just in general that it wasn't too bad, but yeah, it's a churning thing. We'll get to that. The type of terrain that can hold off enemies that step into it. There are various types of terrain besides swamps, and they all affect enemies too. So don't get stuck in the muck and mire. So can I lure an enemy in here? Well, apparently not. Let's get that hat. By equipping armor, you can reduce the damage you receive from enemies. This isn't the armor I got last time, was it? That's a piece of armor from your weapons, from your items, and equip it. Your combination of weapons and armor resonate with each other. So there's synergy for collecting certain weapons and armor. Does the game tell you any of that later? I don't know. Pull triangle, press up. Got a patrol Tengu shield. Yeah, so I did get this before. It's a witch's hat, but whatever. It's like a do-re-mi or something. Okay. Got the patrol Tengu shield. What did that do, actually? Oh, yeah, you can see on the left-hand side of the screen below my icon, below my profile picture. My weapon is level 2, and my shield is at 0, so that'll go up as I use it, obviously. Defense is at 4. Triangle, left. Oh, yeah, so my defense was at 0, now it's at 4. That means I should be more resistant, right? R1 up. R1 right. Okay. So basically, I moved immediately in front of the door. That's fine. Next floor. Again, I'm taking my time because it's a research stream and I want to be able to explain how this game's played. If I have to do a tutorial for this video, I will. It depends on how much I like it. Run into a room with a lot of enemies. The situation is bad and it's tough to run into a passageway. At least in this situation. I mean, the passageway's on the other side of the room. So it's time to use a spell card, which is helpfully provided right here on the floor. Damage all enemies in the same room. Pick it up and use it. Up. Right. Okay, here we go. Found a fancy seal. Whoops. Hold triangle, inventory. Should have swung my sword there. But you saw what happened when I swung my sword right when I got closer. Fancy seal. Use. Anime happened. And when you deal damage to multiple enemies, the system message will display the average damage. Check the individual damage dealt in the backlog by pressing options. Yeah. So yeah, a bunch of stuff is appearing on screen at once. Press option, and you can see all the individual updates. Like this. Cast the fancy seal. That's how much damage was done to each enemy. So again, if you're learning the games, you want to go through this, you can. I want to say it's not terribly necessary for most games like this. But again, if you want to study how you're playing and what happens when certain things happen in the game, you can review this game log. If that's for a PC game, you could probably, export this to a text file or something. Oh well. Let's pick up items. All these items appear in blue on the mini-map, it looks like. So let's grab all of these. Bringing the power master will increase your power stat by 1. Power can increase up to 15. The higher it is, the more damage you deal. Also, I'll miss out on the effect of healing your tummy by 5. My tummy is currently at 86, so there's nothing really wrong with taking this now, is there? For full, it's a consumable. Max capacity will increase by 1. Truly is a power medicine. So my max power increased by 1. See right there, underneath my profile, in the top left-hand corner of the screen? 9 out of 9. Okay, and by the way, my sword went up a level, and my shield went up a level. So, that's how much experience we got by defeating all those enemies. I don't know what that feather is. I don't like the look of that feather. Okay, remedy drink, power medicine, max power drink. We already did that. So I got water. Let me check on that. Yeah, I found water. But what does water do? Plain water. Seems useless. How much you want to bet this is something that serves a secondary purpose? Like, is this something you can mix with something else? We'll get to that later. You can just throw it. It might do some damage, but we'll get to that later. It might just be an empty, it might be something that you drink with that leaves an empty bottle behind, but you can then throw at an enemy, or use to store items. We'll find out later. Other mystery dungeons have done that too. So that's why I'm observing that. It might be something that's required here. Spell card you receive is the effect of enhancing weapon stats. Stats for weapon increase, damage it deals will also increase. We'll triangle, press up. Choose a weapon of your choice. If the weapon is cursed, it will break it. Well, it's not cursed, so we'll just use on the Tengu sword. Let's check out its stats, see what happens. Enhance to patrol, Tengu sword, +1. So my attack hasn't gone up, has it? Triangle up. So my attack did go up a little bit, so 3 + 1, but that's pretty much it. I'm curious how much experience I get by defeating these enemies, but in the meantime, let's go over here and see what's going on. It's just an item. Oh yeah, these are gaps, yeah. They're used to store other items. You just received called a preserve gap, lets you insert and retrieve items freely. Preserve gap lets you hoard items and keep them safe from accidents. Sheeran, I want to say, had a jar system kind of like that. You would keep stuff in a jar. Monster Hunter kind of does it. Keep stuff in a jar. Dragon's Dogma does it, which is not a mystery dungeon yet. But it has some mystery dungeon principles and mechanics. But anyway, put stuff in a jar. It preserves it from rotting or being affected by buffs and debuffs that you'll see if you land on certain traps. A trap is coming up in the next room, just a fair warning. Preserve gap lets you hoard on to keep them safe from accidents. Soul gap lets you place an item inside you recover from stats effects with full HP. Transform gap lets you turn it into a different item. I think it's random, I don't know. By storing items inside, you can protect them from traps and enemy skills. You can also throw gaps against a wall to break them. If you toss the gap from the inventory, it will break. Breaking gaps is one way to get your items out. Instead of using it, I guess. Well, again, why would you want to throw it against a wall? We'll find out later. Items spill out when the gap breaks, but some gaps will explode when they're thrown against something. Again, additional mechanics. So let me see if there's anything here I want to keep. Inventory. Maybe green tea. Do I need the HP right now? Nah, I got full HP. There's supposed to be a trap in here. There it is. Okay, frog lady got us. Traps may be placed inside the ruins of a dungeon. They will trigger once they're stepped on, and they affect the player in various ways. The trap that triggered just now rots food. Place your food in a gap to prevent the effects of this trap. Now remember that thing that I ate at the beginning of the video? What was it? It was something that increased the size of my tummy. Well, if I were carrying that, it would immediately have turned to mold. Now if I put that food item into a preserve gap, then it would have been protected. Right now, I'm not carrying any items that were affected by the mold trap, so I'm fine. I had bean cake. I ate bean cake earlier. That increased my tummy value to 104. My maximum tummy value right there. So the fact that I ate it means it was protected. But if I wanted to protect it, I could always have put it in that bag, that preserve gap right here. Just throw it in the bag like Fabulous. Runs with the equipped to take effect. Protected from stats effects, get support effects, make it easier to investigate the dungeon. Well, yeah, generally speaking. Longevity. Lucky charm done by someone who is always healthy and never sick, and will guard user from all disease. Well, we could insert it into a gap, but for now, let's just equip it. So I got longevity. By the way, on the left-hand side of the screen, that has an experience meter too. So let's see what happens. I only need 3 experience to go up a level, apparently. Yeah, I only need 3 experience to go up to the next level. I need 7 experience for that shield, and 11 experience. So I'm curious how much experience I get by defeating one enemy. We'll see what happens. The game tracks how many kills you've accumulated. Makes it sound like Call of Duty or something. It's like, yeah, I'm accumulating kills. So what's my kill-death ratio in a game like this, I guess. Anyway, let's move along. Items. What are these P's for? We're not taking L's, we're taking P's. Collecting P items in the dungeons will charge the Danmaku gauge. The P meter, by the way, is below my red tummy meter. See where it says Yin Yang shot? Well, above that you see a P6. That's what that's about. Danmaku. We had a Danmaku game a while ago. Yeah, the Bullet Ballet game I played earlier. That was a Danmaku game of a different sort. In this game, Danmaku are just projectiles and magic spells. It's fully charged when it reaches 30. Okay, so let's move along. We'll move along slowly for now. Whoops! Let's fire a Danmaku. There are 4 different types of Danmakus. Press L2 to switch bullet types. You can also switch bullet types by pressing R in either direction, huh? Okay. You can change the type of Danmaku with R. What does L2 do? First, press L1 to fire the yin yang. Well, probably if you don't feel comfortable using the D-pad. If you don't feel comfortable using the analog stick, I guess you can use L2. Press L1 to fire the yin yang shot. Yin yang twin right here. Got him. I defeated Surno-chan. So, 2 experience points gained. Okay, so I unleashed the Danmaku, dealt 4 damage, defeated Surno-chan. Okay, so that's what happened. That's fine. Triangle. Inventory. Okay, nothing else here I need to worry about. Oh yeah. Press right on the right stick, right or left or whatever. Right or left. To choose the different items. So I already did the yin yang shot. The Yokai Buster costs 3 out of the 5 points I have. So I'm only allowed to shoot it once. The Sealing Needle costs 5. We'll use all my P points, so I can only take 1 shot. Double Barrier costs 10, but I don't have enough P points, so I can't execute that yet. Okay. Anyone else see me? Yeah, because they see me. So let's hop back in here. I'll just use my regular attack on this one. So I'll swing my sword. She will come closer to me, and now she's in range. You saw what I did there, right? Instead of trying to meet her, I let her come to me. I funneled her into the dungeon entrance. I forgot to see what my experience level was for each of these items. So my items gain experience, and my character gains experience. then all the experience points I'm gaining should be going towards these things. Status. Hold triangle, press left for status. So I need 8 more experience points to go up a level. Options button. So I gain 2 experience points by defeating that enemy just now. So my weapons are getting experience and my character's getting experience. Those 2 experience points went to all of those things. 2 for my sword, 2 for my shield, 2 for my longevity charm, and 2 for me. So it's not split. Everyone gets 2. You get experience, you get experience, you get experience. You know, I go over. And I'm over explaining things, but you know, whatever kind of game this is. At this point in the research stream, it's more of a tutorial. Okay, here we go. Things get a lot more interesting here. And I got some more people just a second ago. Each Damaku has a trait that makes them the best for certain situations. Press the L1 to press fire Damaku, of course. There are 4 types of Damaku in total, so use them according to the situation. Select the Damaku with L2 after accumulating Damaku power with those P points that I just got, those P icons. The Yin Yang shot you already saw, it uses one of them and attacks right in front of you from a distance. The Yokai Buster is like a spread gun. Uses 3 Yoku points, or uses 3 P points. The Sealing Needle pierces through enemies in front of you. I'm going to use that in a second. It requires 5 points. Double Barrier requires 10 points, and it attacks in 8 directions around you. We'll get to that. Use the Sealing Needle against enemies that are in a straight line, like the enemies right in front of us. Use R to select the Sealing Needle and press L1. That Sealing Needle. Let's move a bit closer. They're sleeping, so I guess they're not going to attack me. I have 20p now. So we're going to press L1 to fire the Sealing Needle and destroy everyone in that row. Problem solved. Now let me go to my log. Press options to go to my logs. You got to see what happened there. So I unleashed a Damaku and killed everyone. Even I think these were people off screen too. Wow. It's not very strong. I dealt an average of 4 damage, but I killed 6 enemies in the process. Was there 6 of them? It was entirely possible I didn't kill all of them, but I killed most of them. Oh yeah, the game had this thing where if I hold R2, I can move diagonally. Yeah. So I'm holding down R2 to move diagonally. Down. Okay. So that's one way to limit your movement intentionally. Okay, I didn't kill that that one last Sunny Milk Chan. So there were a couple of them where I only did 3 damage, and maybe that's why they didn't die. Yeah, so how many did I attack? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there were 9 enemies there, and I only killed 6 of them. So I guess these 3 enemies that are still alive, I only did 3 damage to them. But I was able to attack them off the screen. So that's useful. Yeah, see, there they are right there, on the little red dots on my map. Okay, so I can kill a couple more. Okay, they see me now. So that means I can use my Sealing Needle again to destroy them all. L1. Down they go. Level up. Okay, doesn't average of 6 damage, but yeah, they're all dead now. Got a sweet herb. Let me check on something. Hold triangle, press up. It's gonna be a long video. I'm gonna have to make multiple videos like this. Lucky Charm owned by someone who is always healthy and never sick. We've already explained that. That's my experience. So I'm gonna go up against another experience point once I get some more experience with this thing. Okay, there's supposed to be another item I got. Yeah, these things. Tangerine seeds. I guess tangerine seeds don't mold. Use it when cooking the attic. Okay, I don't know. The game will make sense of this later. These are materials. So I guess they're for crafting later on. Oh, watch this. Aha! Ambush. You're surrounded by enemies. In situations like this, use a double barrier to deal damage to all enemies around you. Powerful Damaku uses a lot of PI, so be careful. Well, how much around me can they... Well, let's try this. Let me go down, see if I can lure that enemy on top closer to me. Okay, she didn't get any closer to me. Okay. Let's see. Select double barrier by using the D-pad, using the right stick. Press X. Excuse me, L1, L1. So I attacked only the enemies that were in my vicinity, 1 square away from me. So that's the range of the attack. Hold square, press up, so I can move around without advancing time. Now that I'm facing the right direction, I can press X and attack. So I was able to survive that. Didn't take any damage there, apparently. Or maybe I got some health back, I don't know. Let's see. Press options button to see the menu here. Okay, so here we go. So sweet herb. Enemy was summoned. Someone did damage to me, but I got it back. I probably got experience back when I leveled up. The game doesn't tell you when you level up in this log. But I did gain experience, so it's entirely possible that I got that HP back when I leveled up, which is fine. And of course, my HP goes up every time I move anyway. Just that my tummy meter goes down. Hold L1. Excuse me. Hold R1 for I dash. Press left. Up, down, right. Right. There we go. All right. So that's what the I dash is for. Took me right to the next point of interest. We'll have to do a separate video for this part. So again, let's say what if Red Dead Redemption Wanderer came out? I would play it, but I know, trust me, a lot of the people who are defending Red Dead Redemption 2 now would not defend this game if this were a Red Dead Redemption game. Trust me. It just plays too different. The rules are different. The level of challenge is different. The interface is completely different, obviously, but again, people complain about the interface of Red Dead Redemption. So as far as I'm concerned, this is the zone that we're in. I'm admitting that subjectively, this stuff doesn't bother me, because I'm treating it as a turn-based game, a turn-based strategy game. That's how this game feels to me, like Sword of the Stars on the PC. Games like this to me are just turn-based role-playing games. Now, if you're not comfortable playing a game where you swing a sword into dead air so the enemies come closer to you, fine. But that's the kind of game this is, so fair warning. If you want to play a turn-based game like Final Fantasy, that's all menu-driven, there's very little strategy, I understand. You know, I grew up playing those games too. This game's a lot more demanding, so if you want to sample a game like this, we've just scratched the surface. This game gets a lot more complicated later. So we'll do a separate video in just a moment.